Bernie had collected these cars for over half a century, and when is the right time? There's never a right time, but there's also never a wrong time. This is the greatest race car collection ever assembled. 69 of the most wonderful, special, historically important Grand Prix cars. By now, I'm sure you've all heard about our recent sale of the Ecclestone Grand Prix Collection. We were looking forward to sharing the news with you ourselves. However, it did seem to get leaked to the press before we had the opportunity to share that news with you. But we are delighted to announce the sale of all the cars, and that all the cars have been purchased by one buyer.
What was the first 24 hours for you like after the collection went live?
The first 24 hours were utterly insane, but it wasn't really the first 24 hours. I would say it was the first 5 or 6 weeks where it was the same intensity throughout. We had inquiries coming from all over the world. We had inquiries coming from people that we had never heard of or conversed with before. Following research, we could soon discover that they were very much qualified candidates, individuals, family offices, sovereign wealth funds, literally inquiries from all over the world, all through the night because of different time zones. And obviously the announcement of the sale of the collection got a lot of traction in the press. I was in my office, had Sky News on, and it just came on Sky News whilst I was on the phone in my own office, not knowing anything about it. I was looking at myself and Bernie walking around the cars. But the actual interest level, I don't think saying shocked is correct, but it was incredible of how much interest the sale generated.
How did you go about convincing Bernie to part with his crown jewel car collection?
I'm not sure you can ever convince Bernie to do anything, actually. So although he said it was my idea, I'm sure he's definitely very much his own man. It's something we'd spoke about for a number of years. He's obviously getting a little bit older in life. He's 94 years old. And he didn't want to leave the idea of all of the cars for one day for his wife Fabiana to have to deal with. You know, Bernie had collected these cars for over half a century, and when is the right time? There's never a right time, but there's also never a wrong time. And I think now it's worked out extremely well because Bernie's had the pleasure of being able to see and be part of the car's next journey, of the next home, knowing who the next custodian is going to be. And you know, I don't think the cars are ever going to be resold from the home that they're going to, and Bernie's been part of that journey.
After getting the go-ahead from Bernie, when did the sale process begin?
This is something I do want to share with everyone because we sold these cars incredibly quickly following. We announced this in early December, and you know, within a matter of weeks, you know, a few months, all the cars were sold, the deal completed, and they're off to their next custodian. However, our journey started on that way further back. Apart from the fact of me intimately knowing the cars for many years and being involved with the cars for many years, when Bernie and I really came to the agreement that we were going to sell the cars, and when Bernie made that decision, that was going back the best part of 22 or 3 months ago. And in that last 22 or 3 months, part of my team, 3 individuals have been totally focused on this project, on the research that is needed for every single individual chassis. We wrote history reports up, particulars for each individual car, and history reports that in some cases spanned 40 and 50 pages. We obtained so many period images. We were fortunate enough to be able to obtain a lot of video footage from Formula One, which, if you noticed any of our videos that went out, we had some period images from cars and the little Formula One watermark logo in the corner. That's very fortunate to be able to get, because Formula One are not in the habit of sharing that footage with many people. But because of the research that goes into being able to properly present these cars for sale, this is something that took us the best part of 2 years and dedicated time from 3 people within my own business for every single day of the week. That's the only thing they were focused on. And even myself, the idea of thinking about marketing strategy, how we wanted to present the cars for sale. Were we going to try and sell the cars as a full collection? Were we going to try and sell the cars individually? This is something that doesn't happen overnight. So once we launched the cars for sale, yes, they sold incredibly quickly, but it was all about the preparation before that time.
How did you and the team build so much knowledge on the vast amount of cars in the collection?
I have a lot of knowledge anyway on Grand Prix cars. They're cars that have interested me for a very long time. They're cars that we actively trade in. If you look here behind me now, we've got lots of McLaren and Williams and Ferrari, and great cars from Ayrton Senna, Alonso, Hamilton, Button, Mika Hakkinen, Niki Lauda. So they're cars that we actively trade in, so we have good knowledge on the product, on the genre of car. However, all of these cars are different. All of these cars have their own identities, their own histories, and all of the cars, the individual chassis, need a lot of research. And that research included, with regards to Ferrari, conversing with the factory. We managed to be able to obtain a lot of period documentation. We had confirmation from Ferrari of their own race results, because these are things that really need checking with Formula One cars, because in the period, lots of cars, they went to and from races on carnets, and carnets is a transport document. And chassis plaques, because they might have had a carnet made for a specific chassis, which might be chassis 1, and then the next week they were going to race chassis 2. In some incidences, chassis 1, the plaque, could just be put onto the car chassis 2. So it's about going into so much level of research to actually discover which chassis participated in which race. That element of research can't only be done in-house. That's also including other experts within the field, other marque experts, whether it be Ferrari, including, in that case, the actual manufacturer. So manufacturers were involved, plus some other marque experts that helped us with our research.
The older stuff, how did you go about researching those?
We research those cars the same way as we research any of our cars that we have in stock, any of our classic cars, referring back to respected books that are on the cars, or race reports, or contacting previous owners, contacting previous teams, people who are still alive that were part of those teams, obtaining period images and actually carefully comparing period images from each race and seeing if if there was any differences in the cars. All of these cars in that period, you could have bolts and rivets slightly in different places between chassis 1 and chassis 2, and it's just spending a hell of a lot of time checking and comparing. We had lots of interest on individual chassis, a huge amount of interest on some specific cars. You know, lots of people wanted to buy the fan car because it's such a iconic car in the Formula One world. Lots of interest on the Schumacher car, lots of offers received on the Schumacher car, lots of offers received actually on the 312s as a collection. So all of the 312s that were within the Ferrari collection. We had several offers on people that wanted to buy all of those cars together, but didn't want to buy the rest of the Ferraris because, you know, it's a lot larger ticket. We probably had half of the collection, best part of 35 cars that we could have sold instantly to probably 25 different buyers, all for great prices. But for Bernie, he really wanted the collection to stay together. That was something that he kept reinforcing to me and saying that we really must try and keep the collection together. We want the collection to be sold as a whole. If I'm honest, you know, some parts of that was frustrating because it was very easy to just pick the phone up and sell 30 cars the same day and get the money in for 30 cars the same day. And we have some instant, what do they say, gratification where we can crystallize some deals and profit on the 2 years of hard work of getting this collection ready to be presented for sale. However, it was the right decision to keep all the cars together. It was absolutely the right decision. And when we look back on it now, it was really should have been the only decision.
If you were to keep one car from the collection, what would you keep and why?
It's so hard because there's so many special cars in the collection that just to be able to choose one car to keep, it's really hard. For me, I love Ferrari. Ferrari is best for my business, and Ferrari is something that I feel like I can relate to more than probably all of the other cars in the collection. I would probably go with something like the 1966 312 F1 because of how original it was. I'm going to cheat here because I'm not just going to go with one car. I would probably go with the Dino 246 F1 because historically how important the 58 championship winner with Mike Hawthorne, raced by all the greats like Phil Hill, Von Trips, went to the Henry Ford Museum, and has since then only had a couple of owners and all of them being Ferrari luminaries. The Brabham BT 52. Now, lots of people were ringing the phone off the hook wanting the fan car, the BT 46, the Swedish Grand Prix winner with Niki Lauda. However, the 52 for me, the Nelson Piquet championship winner, is such a beautiful car, and it is a multiple Grand Prix winner, plus it's a championship winner, plus Bernie had the only 52s in existence, the two cars, so it was a unique car. So I couldn't pick just one car in the collection, but I could definitely pick a handful that would be, you know, cars that I would love to have kept and kept forever.
How did it make you feel that the THJ team managed to sell this as one business?
Super proud. That's how I would summarize that in 2 words. Very, very proud of how we managed to handle the sale of the collection. However, I also think Bernie had great foresight, and I think he also took a great leap of faith. It was so easy for any collector who's assembled such a large collection of cars that when they decide to part with them, that they would go down the traditional auction route. That's where you normally see, when you see collections of more than, say, 10 cars, you see them, if they're going to be disposed at one event, it would normally be through an auction, where Bernie listened to my proposal, the idea of the fact of we can handle this sale better, we can spend more time researching them, we can present the cars better, and then when we are handling the sale, we're not tied into one specific moment in time where anything from an outside event from the car world in the financial markets Trump could have an argument with somebody that week and markets could go down, the S&P 500 could go down, and that could affect your results at your cars being auctioned, because a buyer only has 90 seconds while each car crosses the block to make a decision. Where Bernie, with regards to these cars, he wasn't in a rush for the money. The cars were for sale on the day we launched them. But if it would have took us a couple of years to have managed to sell the collection, he would have been patient. He just wanted to make sure that the cars went to the right home, and he managed to achieve the best result. And I'm very satisfied and very proud that we managed to do that.
What was Bernie like to deal with during the whole process?
My relationship with Bernie goes back the best part of 20 years, and Bernie is an incredible guy. He's an incredible man at everything that he's managed to create in life. He is also probably a hard taskmaster. You want to make sure that the level in which that we presented the cars for sale, there was only one level that we could ever present them at, because only one level that we worked to, and only one level that would have been good enough for Bernie, which was the absolute best. And then throughout the process, him and I spoke often, and he just really wanted the collection to stay together. That's what's important for him. A lot of people as well might wrongfully think of Bernie as an old man, because he's 94 years old, but Bernie is still as sharp as ever, and you've got to get up really early in the morning to be dealing with Bernie, and he very much keeps everybody on their toes.
Tell us what's next for the Ecclestone Grand Prix Collection.
I'm very pleased to also announce that the new owner absolutely wants to share the collection with the public. He's made that really clear to us, that he's going to build a purpose-built museum for the collection, and he will open the collection to the public on certain days of the year. That's my understanding. And he absolutely wants to share all of those cars that haven't been seen for so many years. He wants to share them with everyone.
Did you enjoy the process?
Of course we enjoyed the process. We always enjoy selling the world's greatest cars. It's what we do week in, week out. However, being part of the sale of this particular collection was obviously very special. Will we ever beat it? I don't know. It's the most important car collection that's ever been sold. It's been sold to one buyer, so it's a very special experience. It will definitely be going in the THJ little black book of notes to one day reminisce upon. However, this was a real team success, and I want to thank everybody that's been part of that, from all of the time spent from 3 dedicated people within my team on the research. Even my daughter and son was involved. My daughter is very much part of the business now, and she was one of the individuals who was vetting every inquiry that was coming through. Because of it being such a stimulating project, my son was actually reading every single history report on every single chassis of car. So, one day it will stand him in great stead should the new owner ever decide to part with his collection, because he won't be dealing with me, he'll hopefully be dealing with him. Our team that had to travel down to Biggin Hill to move the cars from one building to another building, our team of detailers who detailed every single car before we presented them for sale, our videographers, the fantastic team who put all that great content together that went out, that we received so many good comments back on, our photographer. This was a real team success, and we could not have sold those 69 cars with it just being me, that's for certain. I needed all of the backup, and they've done such a fantastic job, and I want to thank them. And of course, we have to thank Bernie. We have to thank Bernie for his leap of faith, that knowing or thinking that we are as good as we say we are, and for him taking that leap of faith and the trust and bestowing that upon us, and hopefully we've repaid that, and hopefully he's happy.
What's next?
What's next? So as you can probably see, we're surrounded by so many wonderful cars, wonderful machines. We've always got fantastic new arrivals coming into stock. Today I'm in the middle of concluding a deal on another very important contemporary Formula One car. We're working on a couple of other collections from owners that were very impressed with the way that the Ecclestone collection was handled. So I do envisage over the next few months or the next year that we might be announcing the sale of another very important collection, but we'll have to wait and see on that.